There we go. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. This is the 43rd episode of the Hohner Live with Joel Andersson from Sweden. Welcome. Thank you so much for taking your time.
Thank you, Konstantin, for being here and for giving this opportunity.
That's fantastic. Yeah. So I'm not sure if we ever met in person. I think we did in Trossing.
I think so too. Maybe just briefly.
That was in 2017.
Yeah, during the World Harmonica Festival.
Where you actually participated in the competition. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. And I was extremely surprised by the by the outcome of it.
Okay, yeah, that's crazy. So, what's the second place for you? Which is crazy.
Yeah, second place. And I thought that I could compete in the because on the diatonic harmonica they have the blues and rock and folk and a lot of other music styles in the same category. So I thought that me mainly playing Irish music, I wouldn't stand a chance against the blues giants out there, which are extremely talented and good.
Oh yeah.
So I applied for the tremolo and octave competition, and I thought, well, why not? And I played the octave harmonica, and it was quite funny because I was the only guy from Europe. The rest of the people in there were Asian people.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
So it was great. It was like, Jesus, what is this? So no, and I mean the talent of the players. I mean, it's so amazing, so phenomenal. And I just thought that I am here, so why not compete? So I went up on stage and I bowed in front of the judges and I did my thing, and they very nicely and politely clapped their hands, and then more or less out. Didn't thought that much about that anymore. And then it was the prize giving ceremony, and I think we were 20 people in that competition. And they started by then calling up the names of the from the back, number 20, 19, 18, 17, etc. And then it's the top 10. I was looking, and have they already mentioned my name, or have I missed something here?
Okay.
And yeah, ended up on second place, and I could never ever have imagined or dreamt about that.
Yeah, so for everyone out there, Joel not only did get the second place at the World Harmonica Festival, he's also one of the most acclaimed harmonica customizers out there. He's actually a Hohner affiliated customizer. I'm sure we're going to talk about that later too.
Of course.
And a master of playing Irish music on the harmonica. And yeah, I'm not trying to pronounce your name in Swedish, but I'm just going to play this from the... You can't hear it, but I'm just going to play it from the Google Translate.
Joel Andersson.
Oh no, that was the English version.
Joel Andersson.
And
oh yeah,
there was the Swedish version.
The Swedish version, yeah. Joel Andersson.
Oh yeah. Well,
exactly.
That's not easy.
Well, I suppose it's not easy for me to speak Chinese either, so.
Yeah. So... Anyone out there, if you have any questions for Joel, feel free to ask them in the chat. I'm sure he will answer everything music and harmonica related.
Of course. Anything that I can answer, I will at least give it an attempt.
Yeah, so that's fantastic. So what I'm asking myself is, what came first? Your interest in fixing things and just the mechanical side of things, or playing harmonica and making music?
Oh, I suppose it was, it maybe a little bit of both, but I suppose maybe the main thing was building and constructing things and stuff like that, because I was spending a lot of time with my grandfather, who was a carpenter, and he used to build furniture and stuff like that. So I spent a lot of time with him in his workshop since I was born. I had my first knife when I was 2 years old and started with things. And since then it's just kept on going, and I've been taking things apart to look at them and see how they work, why they work. And during the is it high school, I think, then I went for the education to work with cars, and I became an auto electrician.
Okay.
And I did kind of choose between that or to like study music, but I kind of looked at it like, well, then I would have a job that would give me like a good monthly income, and then I can have the music on the side. So that's like the that part of it, and then the musical part would be that my father listened to a lot of folk music, and including a lot of Irish music. So I've been growing up with a lot of music, and I started to play saxophone when I was like 8 years old. And
Okay.
before that, I actually got my first harmonica when I was 2 years old.
I read about that. Yeah.
Yeah, mainly chewing on it, not really playing it, maybe.
Same for me.
Yeah, cool. And then some things in life are just meant to be, because just before I started with the saxophone, I applied and tried to look for harmonica teachers, but there weren't any. And this during this time, I lived in the north of Sweden,
Okay.
and then I played saxophone for 4 years. And during that time, on the end, I tried the harmonica on my own a couple of times, but couldn't really get the hang of it. And on the last saxophone lesson, I walk out from the room, have left the saxophone and put all of that behind me. Then I just look to the left into the window, and there lies a pile of flyers which says "Try harmonica 3 lessons for free." And I was like, "Perfect! I'll take one of those." And that was then with Mikael Beckman, who is Sweden's first and only educated harmonica teacher.
Okay.
So, and since then it just so I started to practice a lot, play a lot, and then of course it wasn't long before I was starting to take the harmonicas apart and see, okay, how does this work? Why does this work? And how can we improve this?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like the beginning of things, at least.
But that's not to be taken for granted, because like there are also a lot of harmonica players who just don't care about what's going on inside the instrument. Like,
Of course, and I mean, a lot of players that I build harmonicas for, I always try to convince people into at least to take them apart and to clean them.
yeah.
But most people, they want to, or they should focus on music, and then leave the like more technical aspects of harmonicas to like customizers or repair guys or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So, yeah, talking about the harmonica scene in Sweden, like we already had some guests from Sweden here on stream, like Philip Durs and Elin Öberg.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What are some other players? I mean, Dick Sjöberg. I don't know how to pronounce his name in Swedish, but
Yeah,
he played a huge role in your development on the instrument too.
yeah. I mean, if you continue the story there, I have been extremely lucky and very fortunate to meet a lot of very good players and customizers. I've met up with Brendan Power in Canterbury, just outside of London, when I was something like, I think maybe 14, 15 years old. And already back then I started to having keen interest in Irish music. And then I came in contact with Dick Sjöberg, like you mentioned, in the south of Sweden, who had been customizing harmonicas for about 10 years or something. And I think this was around like 2007, somewhere, 2006, maybe somewhere around there. And yeah, then it's kept on going. And like I said, I've been very lucky and fortunate, because these people, they have really taken their time teaching me. And after that, I got in contact with Rick Epping, which you might know, and he's been working at Hohner in US for many years, and
Yeah.
he's like more or less knows everything about harmonicas. And because he plays Irish music, he moved to Ireland, and because I like Irish music, of course, I've always been traveling, also been traveling to Ireland. So it's become like naturally to meet up with him every time I've been going over there.
Yeah.
So I met up with him for like 6 7 years in a row. And he's been like, I've been recording all the conversations that we had. So I've got like hours and hours of recorded material, and been listening through all this material, and from partly him, Brendan Power, Dick Schoberg, a little bit with Joe Falisco, and a lot of other good guys, and then taking all their like expertise and combining that with mine and mixture that into a well good soup or stew or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And the outcome of that would then be the JA Harmonicas business, and well, of course, the harmonicas.
That's crazy. And I mean, people can also follow your journey basically on your YouTube channel. All of Joel's links are linked below in the description box. Because on YouTube, you still have some videos up there that are pretty old. And
Yeah,
also going back there, I remember that I actually saw that little video of you playing Irish reels on harmonica from 2011. I saw that 10 years ago.
oh yeah, exactly. 10 years anniversary this year.
Yeah.
That's
So
great.
there was one I saw 10 years ago already. So I knew you back then.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Cool.
everybody check out Joel's YouTube channel. There are already so many questions coming in.
Yeah. Let's
We
go for it.
at least have to start to go in there to get
Yeah.
to all of them.
Of course.
So, I mean, the first one, Tina from Sweden, I think you already told us when you started playing harmonica, right?
Yeah, I got my first when I was 2 years old, and started like seriously when I was around 12.
Okay, yeah. So, you have a fantastic CD out with Irish pieces, the Irish harmonica. And
Yeah.
Bernd is asking, will there be a second CD?
Of course, and not to reveal too much, it is in the pipeline, and it will, as things are looking now, it will be a duo. So it will be still the harmonica as the main focus, but there will be some accompaniment as well.
So the first CD was a solo harmonica album?
Yeah, I thought that I wanted to show people like what the harmonica is capable of, and what the harmonica is capable of in Irish music. Because a lot of times when someone asks you, you probably experienced this as well, that they ask you, "Oh yeah, you're a musician, cool. What do you play?" "Oh yeah, I play the harmonica." "Oh, do you play anything else?"
Is this really a main instrument?
Exactly. And therefore I want to like to show people a little bit what's possible on the harmonica. And to my knowledge at least, there's not too many pure solo harmonica albums out
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Like with harmonica, that's it. And especially no albums with solo harmonica and Irish music. So I thought that this would be like the perfect combos to start with this.
Yeah.
Was a huge success. I mean, it's been featured in radio channels in a lot of countries in Europe and Ireland, over to America, and I think there was one radio station in Japan as well. So
Yeah, I mean, that's stuff like that is so important for the development of the instrument too. Like if you look at bass, that's just the thing I have in mind. Victor Wooten also recorded some solo bass CDs,
yeah,
which really like were very influential. Yeah.
yeah.
So I like the question by Rodrigo here. How do you manage to keep your harp playing and your harp tech work at highest level? How do you balance the two?
Well, you don't do anything else. More or less. No, but I suppose that one of the things with me, I mean, of course, I've spent a lot of time with other people. It's not that, but I also spent a lot of time on my own, which means like playing music, practicing, and I practiced like a lot.
Yeah.
Again, the 10,000 hours that you're usually talking about. And then the same thing with the harmonica business, with customizing and building. And today, I mean, there are more or less like a couple of things in my life which would be customizing harmonicas or playing harmonicas. And sometimes when I have time, also ride my bike.
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, of course, you have to focus. And I've been trying to play a bit of other instruments as well. I'm cheating a little bit on the accordion or the melodeon in Irish music, but it's sometimes it's fun. And other times I just feel that let focus on the harmonica instead to just really get good at something. And then as well with the harmonica playing is that my main focus is usually on the Irish music. So I suppose that you need to narrow your like interest.
Yeah. If it's too broad, you just don't have the time.
No, I mean it's kind of a thing in school that you need to know a little bit of everything. For me, it would be that I know a lot of like two things: Irish music and customizing harmonicas.
Yeah. So
It's
did you all, when you already played a lot of harmonica during high school, like how was that perceived by other students and stuff like that?
No, I mean it's a bit of both. I mean it was. I mean some people they were like, oh, playing instruments, and then especially when you're going on a education for like working with cars. I mean, most of these people may maybe not have an such an interest in music, so they play an actual instrument. But
No.
I suppose that a lot of people they thought that it was like cool, and yeah, and the outcome of it, I think it was great because like the music education in what do you call it, primary school,
Yeah.
I didn't pass that. So and I would probably not have passed the music in high school either because it's again with me if I'm interested in something I go 1001% like Irish music, and if there's something else that I like need to learn but I don't want to learn it, then it just doesn't work.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah,
Of course,
at least
there are so many questions about customizing already. We'll get to that. But yeah, no, you're not only learning yourself, but you're also a fantastic harmonica instructor. You taught at the Harmonica Masters in Trossingen.
yeah, I was planned for last year.
Yeah,
Hopefully they will keep their plan, and I think was it in 2022 they planned the next one for.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's a question by Matthias too. Will you tell us something about your collaboration with the Berlin Harmonica School and Marko Jovanovic, who also has been on the stream before?
Yeah. No, it's I met Marco. I known about him for years, but didn't really meet him and like spend time with him until like a couple of years ago. And we became very, very close friends, more or less directly. I mean, sometimes you can feel that this is like a soulmate or something like that.
Yeah,
And we got like that. We got that like connection. And so I've been teaching some workshops in Berlin, and we've also recorded a few videos for an online platform that the Harmonica School of Berlin will have here in the future.
oh, okay. So they aren't out already.
Sorry, they are.
They aren't online already.
No, they aren't online yet. It will come because it's a It was a lot of work. We spent like 1.5 week recording a few clips, and we ended up
Oh,
with
now I
like,
remember. I saw the Facebook post. Yeah.
yeah. Now we ended up with like, I don't remember, like 8 terabytes of material and stuff. So it was crazy. So Marco is sitting there, hopefully now in Berlin, going nuts with all of the editing of the material. So yeah, and there will be more teaching coming up there, hopefully after the COVID. Um Once we come over that, there will be more like physical teaching in Berlin, and there will also be some online teaching before that as well. And then, of course, this online platform.
Wow. Okay. There's a lot of stuff coming up.
Yeah,
I mean, we have to dive deep into the real stuff right now, I think.
of
There are
course.
some serious questions here. I mean, the first one is a little general. Darius is asking, is it hard to set up a harmonica for overblows and overdraws?
I mean, it's all it's all a, what do you call it, a red thread going through everything. Nothing is stronger than the weakest link in the chain. I mean, for example, it doesn't really matter how good your reed work is if you have a comb that is very, very unflat and leaky,
Yeah.
or if you have cover plates that it doesn't fit the reed plates or the groove in the reed plates, it will still be leaking air. So it's all these small things combined together that makes a good harmonica. And you can, of course, overblow a harmonica out of the box. And buying harmonicas out of the box is like, you don't really know what you get. I mean, there are mass produced instruments, they are pushing out millions and millions of harmonicas every year. So, I mean, they can't keep such a good high standard on them. You can, of course, just decrease the gapping of a harmonica. That means that you're adjusting. If this would be a reed plate, you would be adjusting the height of the reed so it's more towards the reed plate. So the distance between the reed plate and the reed, that's what's referred to as gapping. The problem with doing this, only reducing the gapping, is that you will get a harmonica that might play some nice overblows, but you can more or less not play anything else because the harmonica will, in harmonica terms, choke, which means that when you play a note, there will be no sound at all coming out from it. So, I mean, yes, it's fairly easy to set it up if you want to be able to play overblows, but if you want to be able to play a lot of more stuff on it, then it's a lot harder.
Yeah.
But for the overblows and the overdraws, they are extremely hard to set up.
Okay. Yeah, I hope that answers your questions. I mean, we'll dive deeper, I'm sure. So the next one is very specific by Babak Zafanejad from Iran. Thank you for tuning in. He was on the stream before.
Cool.
First question. Please tell about double reed plate harmonica, because I listened to one of the harmonica podcasts, our Levy podcast, and he said this kind of harp reeds detune fast.
Yeah, so first of all, the double reed plate harmonica means that you're taking another reed plate and you're removing all the reeds from that reed plate. And then you're attaching this reed plate together with the so-called original reed plate. So this basically means that you're getting twice the thickness. So if this is one reed plate, and then when you have two reed plates, then you get a thicker reed plate, which means then double reed plate because there are two. And what happens here is that if you have one reed plate, if this is your reed plate and this is your reed, so your reed goes from the top of the reed plate and then it goes below the reed plate, like so. And the more air we're moving when we're playing, the louder the harmonica sounds. So what happens when you have the double reed plates, that means that this reed plate here now is this thick, which means the reed has to go from here then it has to go all the way down here. So we're moving a lot more air compared to a single reed plate harmonica. And harmonicas that go out of tune and harmonica players that are prone to breaking reeds usually needs to focus on their like breathing techniques and tone, because if you have a very thin tone, if you like blowing into your harmonica, this means that you're creating a lot of pressure on the reeds, which means that the reed will, when it goes up on the reed plate, it goes further up, and then when you push the air, it goes further down. So you're pushing the air past their like, what do you call it, like extension limit, maybe you could call it, and that's what causing them to break and also detune. And this is very, very delicate or very sensitive on the double reed plate harmonicas, because the reed is already moving a further distance. And if you have a poor tone or bad breathing techniques, you will break reeds very easy. And having these good breathing techniques basically means you want to open up your mouth and your throat. So going from the to and with the big tone, then you're decreasing the pressure that you're putting on the reeds. You can look at it a little bit like if you have a water hose that has maybe this diameter and you have a certain water pressure coming through the hose, the water might go, let's say, 2 meter from the end of the hose. And if you open up or get a bigger hose, maybe this big, but you have the same water pressure, then the water might only go 1 meter instead of 2. And this is the same thing with the reeds. So if you have a very thin tone, you're putting the more pressure on the reeds than if you're having the bigger tone. So yes, to answer your question in an easier and faster way, this was the long version. So this would be the short version. They can detune fast if you have poor breathing techniques. If you have good breathing techniques and basically don't play too hard, then they will last very, very long.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. But there are no like produced double reed harmonicas out there, right?
From factories?
Yeah, from factories.
No. All of these double reed plate harmonicas would come from customizers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, what you have in the factories that is like similar to it is thicker reed plates.
Oh yeah. I think there's some herring harmonicas.
Yeah, the herring, I think they
ones.
were they were like 1.05 or 1.1 millimeter thick or something, while the Hohner ones are like 0.95 millimeters.
Yeah. So yeah, Bob, like I hope that answers your question. He already has a second one,
Great.
which is a nice one. Please tell me how to customize hole one overblow. That's a good question. Like, what would you say is like the difference between setting up a overblows 4, 5, 6 to overblow 1?
Yeah, the problem with the hole 1 overblow is that the reed is very, very big, very, very long, which means it requires a lot of air. And it also, of course, depends a little bit on which key. It's
Definitely,
setting up the 1 overblow on a high G or an E harmonica is way easier than doing it on a G harmonica. And the thing is that, like on a G harmonica 1 overblow, you need to have the like reed gapping very, very tight, and also everything else in place. the embossing, the curvatures, the air tightness between the reed plates and the comb. You need to make sure that the reed plates are straightened and flat. You need to make sure that you don't have any leakage between the reed plates and the cover plates. So the one overblow is hard, and usually it might mean that you can't hit that note very hard if you want to be able to play an overblow on it. Again, if you do that on like a G or an A harmonica,
Yeah.
if you're going up to C or D or E, it might be a lot easier. That being said, I think that during my years with customizing, I only had maybe 2 people that requested specifically that they wanted to be able to play overblows on hole one. And I don't know about you, Konstantin. Do you use one overblow a lot?
Depending on the key of harmonica, yeah.
Yeah.
But very, very seldomly I use it like as a sustained note.
Yeah, yeah.
Like very often it's a passing note, I'd say.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's, I mean, yeah, and that's a good way on looking at things. You always have to compromise a little bit.
Oh yeah. It's always a compromise setting up harmonicas.
Yeah, and maybe if you want to play the one overblow, if you have a lick or something that goes down there, maybe you can make the lick so you play it 1 octave higher. So you use the 4 overblow instead.
Yeah. So, I mean, there are a lot of advanced questions in the chat, but maybe there are some beginners out there too. So my question is, when does it make sense to get a custom harmonica? At which point of your studies or your harmonica playing should you get interested in it?
I mean, it all depends. I think that most people they will definitely go very very long way with stock harmonicas.
Yeah, there's so many pro players playing on stage with out of box instruments.
Of course. And I mean, it's a bit of both because sometimes maybe if you played for about a year or something and you are able to play single notes very, very good, and depending on music style that you play, if you're playing a music style where you're playing a lot of melodies, let's say Irish music, for instance, and you play with other melody instruments, maybe fiddles, violins, accordions, or something like that, then you need harmonicas that are in tune. And
that's also a big thing, yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the big problems that the factories has, that they can't spend a lot of time on tuning. I think I heard a number that they have about 30 seconds to tune 10 reeds.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, imagine tuning 10 guitar strings in 30 seconds.
I was just about to say that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's so, yeah. So it depends a bit. I mean, if you want to go down that road, then it might be a good idea to get a custom harmonica after a year if you want to play like more melody-based music, so you're in tune. Another aspect of it is, of course, that if you have a good instrument, then you usually either play better or you play more. And if you play more, then you will automatically become better. Like I mentioned before, I do a bit of cycling. And I mean, I started out with an old crappy bike, and then I bought a better one and a better one and a better one. And today I have like a bicycle that is more or less what I use in like Tour de France.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm a shit bike racer or cyclist, but it's way, way more fun to have really good equipment, which means that I'm out cycling even more. So, I mean, that's another aspect of it. And of course, another thing is that if you want to go serious into bending or even overblowing and stuff, then you really start to need a good harmonica. And I always recommend people to maybe buy a better harmonica than what they need, because then they have a harmonica that they can grow with. If they buy a very, very like simple, I have harmonicas in 4 different levels or 4 different reed works. It's the basic, advanced, master, and top of the line. And if you choose the basic reed work, then maybe after a couple of years or something, you might be better than the harmonica.
Yeah.
But if you directly go for the master reed work, which is usually the reed work that I recommend, then you have a harmonica that you could use more or less forever. So
That's true.
and of course it depends on how deep your pockets are.
Yeah. It's clear that like a handmade custom harmonica just costs a little more than an out of box instrument.
Yeah, I mean more or less they have to, because of all the hours that are put down in the work into them.
Yeah. So Darius is asking a pretty basic question. He asks, is it really worth to repair detuned harmonica or blown reeds instead of buying a new one?
Well, again, there are certain aspects on looking at it. One would be if you buy a new one, a new harmonica is a new harmonica. If you send a harmonica to me for a full service, complete service, then I say that your harmonica will be in better condition than when it left the factory. Partly it will be way better tuned. The gapping of the reeds would be like roughly looked over. That's not the main thing, of course. And I also change all reeds that needs to be changed, and yeah, tune the whole harmonica. So yeah, the thing is that you can buy, if you take a special 20, and I think the cheapest one you can buy in Europe is something like 30 euros or something.
Yeah.
And for a complete full service, I charge 40 euros. But again, there's a lot of people sending me their special 20 harmonicas to have them repaired and serviced. Another aspect, of course, is the environmental thing. It's better to repair things than just to throw them away.
That's true too. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a bit of both.
Okay. Babak again with another question. You are our harmonica customizing guru here today. So I have the experience, if I set up my harmonicas myself, which I necessarily had to get into a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not a pro though.
I mean, always good to be able to take them apart.
Yeah, maybe it's just like my experience because it was the instrument that I played most. But if I wanted to set up a harmonica, it was always easiest for me doing it with a Hohner Gold Melody. I don't know why, but that's also what Babak's question is heading to. So he asked which harmonica is the best for customizing reed plates.
I mean, if we start with the reed plates, the Marine Band Classic, Deluxe, Crossover, the Rocket, Special 20, and Golden Melody all share the same reeds. So basically, it's only the reed plates are also the same. The only difference is like the outer shape of the reed plates. The reed slots are the same as well.
Yeah.
So, and in terms of which one is the like best for customizing, I think that the best one is the model that you're most comfortable with playing. And I mean, in your case, you're mentioning that you always found the Golden Melody is the easiest. And I don't know about you, but maybe you played a lot of Golden Melody harmonicas.
Of course, yeah.
So that's what you're comfortable with. And in terms of maybe which the easiest harmonica is to customize, would maybe be like a Special 20 or a Rocket, as well as maybe those two, because they have a plastic comb that won't warp, and they are attached. The reed plates and the cover plates are attached with screws. The hardest ones to customize when talking about diatonic harmonicas would of course be the Marine Band Classic, because it's attached with nails. So you have to drill and tap the reed plates and attach screws and nuts and bolts and all of that to them.
Yeah.
And of course, with the Marine Band Classic and with the Marine Band Deluxe, you'll might run into the problem with the comb swelling when you play them, because they are a lot better today, but they are not 100% sealed.
Hmm.
The crossover and the Thunderbird comb, which is a bamboo comb, is way better.
Yeah. And sometimes you're just lucky. Like, I think I have a gold melody in D that I got out of box, and I really like only gapped it, and it's fantastic. I can get all the overblows. I can bend them up. I mean, it's a D, so it's a pretty comparably high harmonica, but yeah, that doesn't work with any out of box you get. Like, it's sometimes you're just lucky.
Of course, I mean you picked, or you got the right worker to make it for you, and it was probably not made on a Monday.
Yeah.
So I mean, you don't really know what you're getting when you're buying stock harmonicas, and that's the good thing with custom harmonicas, is that usually you know exactly what to expect when you order a custom harmonica.
That's true. So maybe we're gonna skip a question by Babak. We already answered a lot of them. But Frank is asking. He wants to hear some music.
Yeah, of course.
So would you mind giving us a little taste of some Irish harmonica?
Little taste of Ireland. Of course. Well, I play I think I'll play 2 Irish jigs.
Okay. That was fantastic. I want to see a lot of clapping hands in the chat.
Thank you. Yeah, so that was
I love that swing.
You know, it's great. That was 2 jigs. The first one is called Paddy Clancy's, and the second one is called The Humours of Tenderagee.
Okay, so which harmonica did you play there?
So this is a marine band, and I'm currently prototyping and working on wooden cover plates.
Okay.
Which hopefully will be released soon. And the tuning that I'm using is a tuning referred to as Easy Third, or that's at least the name that I've heard it under.
Yeah.
It basically means that your hole 1, 2, and 3 are tuned to the same notes as hole 4, 5, 6. So your 4, 5, 6 would be and 1, 2, 3. And the good thing here for Irish music is I can play now octaves on hole 2, 5, and 3, 6 draw, which I couldn't do on a Richter tuned harmonica. So I have that nice octave sound, and also I have this would be a low D harmonica. So here I have a D major chord on the whole blow side,
Yeah.
and I have an E minor chord on the draw side, except hole 7 draw. So I get that, which is great for a lot of the minor Irish tunes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it sounds fantastic on a low tuned harmonica like that.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great.
So there's a question by Bruce for both of us. Our views, I mean, I'm interested in that too, on the pros and cons of brass versus steel reeds and your experience working on both. My question is, do you actually work on harmonicas with steel reeds?
Partly no, partly yes, because I'm an Hohner affiliated customizer. I'm only allowed to customize Hohner harmonicas.
Yeah.
However, I am allowed to service other brands, which means minor tuning and adjustments like that. Before I became an affiliated customizer, and during the time when I've been like researching custom harmonicas and stuff, I've of course tried steel reed harmonicas, and I don't know. I don't personally. I don't really fancy the sound, and also I think, at least to me, they are extremely heavy and hard to work with.
Yeah.
And
And that's what I know about. It's like they also have like just a stronger, how do you call that, the memorize effect or something.
yeah, I mean it's a harder material, so that would of course like make sense. Um, I mean, pros and cons with brass and steel reeds. I mean, pros and cons with, do you like fish? Do you like hamburgers? Personally, I don't eat fish or seafood. But I mean, that's me. I mean, some people they like steel reeds, some people they like brass reeds. A lot of people that ask me what harmonica, what brand should I get, I usually say that buy the one that appeals to you. Because when you start out, it doesn't really matter if it's a Hohner or if it's a Seidel or whatever. And then when you play, you start to try out more models. You bought the Seidel first, maybe, and then you try out the Hohner, the Rocket, or you start with the Marine Band, and etc. etc. So most player usually go through a lot of different brands, like I've done. I've probably tried more or less every harmonica on the planet, but I've always fallen back to the Honers, and I like the sound and the feel of them. And what was it? The pros and cons, and yeah, like I said, working on them, I kind of feel that the material is very hard and it requires so much more to customize
Yeah.
and to like work with. I mean, again, some people like it, and some people they are really good at like customizing steel reed harmonicas, and they do it very well. So I mean, there's definitely nothing wrong in doing it. And again, it's more or less what appeals to you. And I think that if, for instance, you, Konstantin, if you would go up on a stage and you would play a Hohner, or if you would play a Suzuki harmonica, I wouldn't think that the audience could hear a big difference between those brands.
Maybe, yeah.
So it's mainly it's down to the feel of for the harmonica player, and that, however, might affect you, so the audience could hear, because you're playing on an instrument that you don't like. And that's again back to this question with when should you get a custom harmonica. If you like the instrument you play, you'll play better and you'll play more.
That's some good advice. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you need to try both to know.
Yeah. Yeah, so of course I got into harmonica customization at some point,
Yeah,
and I'm working with the. I also got the Hohner toolkit.
great.
So Arman is asking, did you ever do a tutorial on the Hohner toolkit? I mean, I know that you have your own toolkit on your website.
Yeah, no, I haven't done a tutorial on the Hohner toolkit. I've done a toolkit myself, which partly consists on a few Hohner tools, and then it also consists of a few tools that I've made. And so there's a tutorial up on YouTube with that toolkit on like how to use it, and it's a very small portable toolkit that you can bring with you, and you are able to change reeds using rivets, which I
Yeah.
kind of find to be the, I mean, easiest and simplest way. Using screws and stuff, I mean, of course it works, but you usually need a lot of screws and a lot of like tools to do it, and you also need small hands and a lot of patience. So
There's a little beginner question.
yeah.
That's good. I'm very lazy with that topic myself. But can you give some general tips on how to keep harmonicas clean?
First of all, I would definitely recommend to keep your mouth clean, because if your mouth isn't clean, well, of course, then your harmonica isn't clean. Uh, some people are very good at it, some people are not so good at it. I always recommend that people brush their teeth before they play, rinse their mouth with water, and wait about 10 minutes. Uh, Personally, I don't do that.
Me
But
neither.
yeah, it's not good. But yeah, I mean, that's what I would recommend. And if you do that, your harmonicas would last like forever, more or less. Um, and if you like eat spaghetti or something and drink a half liter of Coke and then just play instantly after, then you will definitely run into some issues. So that would be part number one. And if you have a plastic comb harmonica, if you take the like Special 20 or the Hohner Rocket, for instance, and I think if you're a sidle player, you have those, are they called session steel, maybe? I think
Yeah.
plastic combs, then you can wash them like under the tap. The only problem with it is that part you definitely need to dry them out. You can't leave them filled with water. And also the problem with that is that there might be some dirt coming loose from one side of the harmonica or inside a chamber, and it will get stuck again, but it won't come out from it. And then when you play, this part might get stuck into the reed. That's the like lazy version of cleaning the harmonica. The best one, of course, is to take it apart. I use a like disinfection alcohol that you can buy at the pharmacy. That it's a like what is called. I think it's a surface disinfection alcohol. So you're not using. The intention is not to use it on the hands. It's for like surfaces, tables and stuff, and that's very good to put on a piece of cloth, and you can wipe off the covers and the comb. And you can also, if you don't use too much of it, you can actually use it on a wooden comb, because it's alcohol, it vaporizes fairly quickly. And the reed plates, you have to with the reeds. So if this would be your reeds, you always have to brush them like lengthwise of the reeds. If you're using maybe a toothbrush, or if you're cleaning them with alcohol and a rag.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty lazy at that. But
mean, you have the other part of it, which I mean, it might not sound so good, but dirt and stuff is a very, very good sealant, which
Yeah,
means that you have a harmonica comb that's not flat. If you play this harmonica for a while, dirt will build up in these leaky parts of the comb. So eventually you will have an airtight harmonica.
especially if it's like a wooden comb. Like,
Yeah, yeah. And definitely if the comb is not flat sanded.
yeah,
So do clean your harmonicas, but don't over clean them. And again, I
nice.
mean, what you have in your mouth will end up in the harmonica.
Okay, yeah. So maybe we can go for some more music, but that's hard. Marcus is asking for us to jam together.
Ooh, now we're into tough stuff.
That's not easy. That's me. I got to think about some Irish stuff that I can do. The one piece that I learned is Crowley's Reel.
Oh yeah, was that? That's the one that.
I learned that from the Brand Power book.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, from Brendan Power's book. Yeah, no, I don't actually think I got that. Yes, that particular one. There are a lot of Crowley's reels out there, but I don't think I have exactly that one. That's the like the issue, so to speak, with Irish music, because it's like in blues music. Usually, if you know like maybe a handful of blues songs and you know the basic what do you call it, structure of the like 12 bar blues, then you can just jam along. With Irish music, it's a totally different thing because it's built up with melodies, or the traditional Irish music. So it basically means that you need to learn a shitload of melodies. And a good comparison is that in blues music you have, let's say, a guitar playing the accompaniment, and you as the harmonica player or the melody player, you are following the guitar player, the 12 bar blues that he's playing. But in Irish music, it's the melody that's leading, which means that the guitar player also has to know the tunes. So the guitar player needs to play the chords for that particular tune. And that's the reason why there aren't any like jam tracks for Irish music.
Yeah.
Because then you have some tunes might have uh, written in different ways. They might have a variation, and this variation in the tune might, the standard version might have a D chord, but if you put in a variation to the melody, that chord might then be an E minor chord, which means the guitar player, for instance, or the accompaniment player, he needs to hear this and know this, so he'll play an E minor chord instead of the D major. So in that sense, it's a fairly hard music style to play.
That's so true. Yeah.
And also
Pretty hard.
that's also why it's very hard to like jam along with it, because it's basically an Irish session is built up with that. You have a few people around the table. You're not on the stage. It's very relaxed, and one guy or woman starts to play a tune, and then this person is leading that set. One set usually consists of two, three, four tunes.
Okay.
This player is the player who decides which the next tune is. If you don't play an instrument that you're playing with your mouth, then you usually shout something like "hop," and then everyone's "huh, what's going on?" And then they know that he or she will now change tune, and then they will listen. If
Oh,
they
you
know
just
the tune,
froze.
they'll
Maybe you
tag along
can
and play.
repeat the last sentence.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, and then when they change the tune, they need to try and tag along. And if they know the tune, they will play it. And if they don't know the tune, they will be quiet and sit down and just listen. And
Yeah.
then when the third tune in this or that tune, and then they join in again.
That's nice. Yeah, I've never been to an Irish session before. So
No, it's
maybe
great.
we should.
It's good fun.
Oh yeah. So maybe we should go for like very quick questions and answers here.
Yeah, let's do that, and we'll have a bit of music later.
So Tina is asking, do you have students
Yes.
for harmonica playing and for customization, or just one of them?
Harmonica playing, a few beginners in Irish music, and a few like advanced Irish music players.
Okay. Oh, Philip Jers is tuning in.
Hey!
Thank you for tuning in. Sweden is in the house. Friedrich is asking, what are the most important ornaments for Irish music?
Ooh, I wonder what he means by ornaments. You have a lot of stuff like, what should we take? You have some stuff like, let's take stuff like that. So that tune could be, or that phrase could be played, or it could be played. And that
Okay.
in Irish music, at least, would be referred to as an ornament.
So it looks like you're doing that with your tongue, is that right?
I'm actually, when I'm playing, I'm using my, it's tongue blocking, of course, and then I'm using my my lip. So if you look,
Okay.
so, and I'm very, very keen in staying as still as possible. So usually when I'm playing my,
That's so important, yeah.
yeah, my hands and arms are usually fixed like this, and then it's mainly my head and mouth that's moving.
Okay.
On a violin, you have, what do you call it, when you're playing, you're changing position, right? So you're playing down here, and then to be able to play further up, you're changing position, so you're changing the grip. And I kind of do the same thing. So I play the A part like, but then I'm playing the B part, I move the harmonica like so. And that's, to me, like changing position. And then
That's crazy. Yeah.
and yeah, I think that minimal movements, like, and that's
Yeah, I mean, that's why everything, like, doesn't matter what. Like, if you're watching a pro, it always looks pretty easy.
yeah, no, exactly. And like you say, it doesn't matter what you do, if it's harmonica playing or if it's like tennis, for instance. I mean,
Yeah.
if I would be in a tennis court, I would be running around all over the place, while you would probably just be standing there and,
Yeah. Yeah, I like the idea of not moving too much while playing harmonica. But let's continue with fast questions and answers.
Yeah.
So Darius is asking, how long is the waiting time for a customized harmonica?
well, it's long. I can tell you that. At the moment, it's about 21 months, which means beginning of December 2022.
Yeah,
So it's
there
a long,
you have
it's
it.
A long, it's a long time, but some people are like scared about ordering custom harmonicas, and I don't know how other players or customizers are doing it, but I don't charge any money up front. which means if you would like to buy a custom harmonica from me, the only thing I need to know is what do you want, maybe how many harmonicas do you want, and I would need your name, phone number, and address. Then I put you up on the wait list, and then when your turns come up, I build your harmonicas, and then we sort out payment.
Oh yeah.
So it's yeah. So usually most people today they have time to save up money.
Okay, I'm just going through the comments here. Did you ever tune a Thunderbird to a higher key, from low F to A, for example, to have the sound and feel of thicker reeds?
Well, it wouldn't really be that good because a reed in the Thunderbird isn't really like thicker. If we go fast over that, a high pitched reed like hole 10 is more or less shaped like my arm. It's very big back here at the rivet end, and then it gradually becomes smaller, which means it moves a lot in the front
Yeah.
and it doesn't move a lot back here. The Thunderbird only comes in low F down to low F, and on the lower notes, the reeds are more or less shaped in the opposite way. So the reeds are attached here, and here they are very, very thin. So you can move this big weight and mass back and forth. So it wouldn't really make sense to tune up a Thunderbird to like an A harmonica. Then it would be way better to use A reeds because they are more optimized for the key of A. That being said, when the reeds are milled at the factory, same thing there, mass production. Some of the reeds might have, because this would be referred to as the reed profile, the profile of the reed. Some of the reeds might not have an optimal profile. Some of the reeds might be too stiff, like here, so it would be just the front moving. And on the master and top of the line reedwork that I have, there I'm reprofiling and polishing every reed, which means that the reeds that in some places might only move in the front, if we're talking about higher reeds, then I would reprofile them, which means I would change the thickness of the reed in different places of the reed length to make them play in an optimal way.
Okay, I hope that helps. I have a question that I wanted to get rid of.
Yeah.
Just as interested in it. So how do you prevent overblows from squeaking after some time? Also, if you like hold the note for a longer time.
I mean, it's a bit of both. It's like my dear friend Philip Yurs once said that you can more or less get any reed to squeak. So it depends a lot on the player and the technique. If you have a beginner trying to play overblows, more or less every overblow would squeak to him. While, for instance, if you would play an overblow, that note would probably not squeak as much. But then, of course, it depends a lot on the harmonica itself. And there has been various of techniques used during the years to prevent squeaking reeds. Some of them be using like beeswax at the rivet end on the reeds, and some have used a little bit of like super glue on the reeds to prevent them from squeaking. And I mean, it works, but the problem kind of with it is that it works for a while, and then if you leave the harmonica in a hot car, or basically if you play the harmonica for a very, very long time, this wax that you have put on the reeds might deteriorate and go away and disappear from the reeds, and then they will start to squeak again. And there you have the things again with the like proper reed work. And it's like I said before, that it's nothing is stronger than the weakest link in the chain. So I mean, it's not a simple answer in that sense that do this. If that would be something, then it would of course be the beeswax. but in the long run, it might not be a solution. Then you would have to add more.
Yeah. Okay.
Again, straightening reed plates, the profiles, the reed curvatures, the embossing, the flatness, and yeah, etc., etc.
Yeah, what I do is just I put a little piece of scotch tape like right in the middle of the reed,
Oh yeah,
and it works fantastically, to be honest.
no, and that's the same thing as some customizers have done, like put a bit of super glue or like what do you call it, nail polish, nail varnish. And yeah, I mean, but I suppose that if you play that harmonica for like 3-4 years, then you might start to run into problems, or when you clean them maybe.
I don't clean them myself,
Okay.
but yeah, I never ran into problems up
That's
until
great.
now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, there are some instruments that I have here which are like maybe even 9 years old,
Yeah.
and I'm sure I put the scotch tape on there like 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah. No, but that's great.
So that's
But
pretty stable.
yeah. Again, to add to that, of course, is that I suppose that you're very good in taking care of your harmonicas. You're not like throwing them around or
Oh yeah.
having jumping around in a backpack or something like that.
Yeah, I
And
just once had one of my C harmonicas in my back pocket and sat on it. That wasn't too good.
no, no. But maybe you learned from that lesson.
I did, yeah. Oh, that's nice. Günther Bayer says a little Spätzle helps to seal the harp. Matthias is also asking, do you use the Dix Scherberg tuning table?
I did for a while, but the thing is that I tune faster by hand, so to speak. I use a rotary tool with a polishing wheel on it, and have like a sort of special setup to it, so it's very very fast. And then I have this attached to a foot pedal, and then also I have a so everything is like automated. So when I push the foot pedal, I have a vacuum cleaner that starts, and then my grinding wheel also starts, and then I have a like special setup with a shim attached to this handle with the polishing wheel, so I can do this with only like 2 hands. And then I have the suction as well, because there is a lot of like brass dust and debris that you're grinding away, and you don't want to inhale this, of course. Yeah.
Okay, hope that helps, Matthias. So Darius is asking, with all that work, do you work on your harmonicas by yourself only, or do you have other workers too?
I only work by myself. Of course, the idea has run through my head a couple of times with like hiring someone or something like that. But the problem is that like a lot of customizers, like they are sitting at home, maybe at the computer's desk or something, customizing harmonicas. And the thing I'm doing is that I have a 30 square meters workshop fully equipped with computerized CNC milling machines, computerized laser machines, laser cutters, lathes, metal milling machines, and all that. So it's like a machine workshop, more or less. So it's like on a different scale than a lot of others. And the thing is that you need to be a very good player, because you need to be able to play the harmonicas that you build.
Yeah.
And also you need to be very good at like machinery, programming like computerized CNC milling machines to manual lathes and bandsaws and cutters and all of that. And that's usually 2 things that are very hard to combine. Most of the time you're either very very good at building, or you're very very good at playing. and it's very rare to see people that are like both. You have a couple of them, like Joe Falisco, for instance. I mean, fabulous builder and fabulous player.
That's the combination. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the combination. So yeah. That being said, it would only mean that I would either have a good player that could test harmonicas, or I would have someone that could maybe mill a harmonica comb or something, but then I would have to be the one who test it and tune it and set up the reeds and all of that, because it's tough, and it's not something that you can learn just overnight. Like programming a CNC milling machine and something like that, I would say that that's easy compared to like start to dig down into the like reed work of harmonicas.
Yeah. Well, I could test harmonicas for you.
Oh yeah, for
That's
sure.
like the only thing I could do. So Tina is asking, how long does one harmonica take to customize? Let's talk about the top line instrument that you offer.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it all depends on which harmonica model. If we start with like the cheapest ones would be maybe a couple of hours, and the like most expensive top of the line double reed plate chromatic harmonicas would be roughly 1.5 week.
Okay.
So yeah, it takes a lot of time and patience.
Oh yeah. There's so many questions here. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, go on.
But we're just going back and forth between playing and customization.
Yeah.
Bird is
No.
asking, are you using corner switching of the tongue when
Yes.
playing?
A lot. It's and that's the thing with Irish music, that Irish music is written and like made for flutes and violins, fiddles, and for them it might be very easy to play these like bigger jumps that some tunes might have. But on the harmonica, it's very hard to.
Especially
That
if you
does-
want to play them if you want to connect them and play them legato.
Yeah, exactly, because you can't, or at least I can't get that legato and fast. Doesn't work compared to. And so yeah, so a lot of the like simple or simpler beginner tunes in Irish music are very, very hard. There's one particular tune called Harvest Home that I know James Conway in over in America usually play to demonstrate the tongue switching. Should go something like. Playing that without the use of tongue switching, I mean, it probably is possible, but it's definitely nothing that I can do, and definitely nothing that I could do legato.
Wow, yeah, that's crazy. It sounds fantastic. I was wondering if you're almost like a 100% top blocker from what I see. If you're using your lower jaw at all.
Yeah, from what I know, tongue switching only the tongue. When I'm using tongue switching, I'm using my tongue and my jaw.
Yeah.
Is it the right way to do it? Well, if it sounds good, it is good, I suppose. So you can see that in.
Okay.
So that would be my jaw and my tongue. And I think the
Oh,
reason
what would
why
I
I'm
do?
yeah, basically the same thing. The thing that I do is that if this is my jaw and this is my tongue, and I'm going to move from here to here. If I only move my tongue, then I would have to move the tongue this distance. And if I would only move my jaw, I would have to move this distance.
Oh yeah.
I would move my jaw and my tongue, then I minimize my movements again.
Yeah.
I move my jaw a little bit and I move my tongue a little bit, which means I would be or be able to play faster and be able to play with less movement. So playing stuff like I mean, it's not a really big deal to do because I'm not moving more or less anything else than the tongue and the jaw.
Yeah. Awesome. Lifehack Luca, will there be a YouTube video tour through your workplace?
Oh yeah, I've been thinking about doing that. The only problem is that I need to clean first,
Okay.
but it will come. Keep a lookout.
Just some last ones. Oh no, that's not a question. Dear Professor Andersson, can you please explain about the new generation J.A. comb?
Oh yeah, I have a new design of the harmonica combs. Traditionally, harmonica combs has just basically been a like square hole, and then I've had the combs that I referred to as the so-called performance combs. So a regular comb would be like this. This would be your channel into the comb. The performance combs that I've had previously, they have had an opening that's like this. So it would more or less be like a funnel. So we would be able to push more air into the harmonica. And now I'm making the combs so hole 1, 2, and 3 are wider. So the slots are bigger on the inside. So the front part of the comb would still be the same as the old performance combs, which means that the lower holes, they would look like this, the middle holes would look like this, and then the top holes would be even smaller, so they would look like this. But to the outside, you wouldn't see a difference.
Okay, yeah.
And yeah, it makes a difference. The logic behind it is that you'll be able to get more air to the lower reeds, and you would be able to get smaller chambers to the top reeds. So you would be getting better like precision when you're playing bending and overdraws and stuff like that.
Okay. Wow, yeah, that's exciting. I now have to order a harmonica to get one in 21 months.
Oh yeah, it's a good Christmas gift for 2022.
Yeah. Philip has another question. Can you name 2 Irish tunes that every harmonica player should know?
Oh, only naming 2 is very, very hard. But there are, of course, I mean, the typical standards among like Irish tunes, and the problem with a lot of these tunes is that they are usually very hard to play on the harmonica because the tunes are not intended to be played on a harmonica to begin with.
Yeah.
Which would mean that you would have to use like tongue switching and stuff. A very good common tune is called Cooley's Reel, but that involves tongue switching, so you would have to be able to play the So if you're
Okay.
into like tongue switching, that would be a great tune, and it's a tune that more or less everyone knows. Another tune that's very very common that a lot of people start out with is the Kesh jig, and that's a fairly
I think I
simple
know
tune.
about that one.
Oh yeah,
You just gotta remind me of the melody.
it's let's see. I need to remind myself to begin with.
Oh yeah.
That's the complete A part one time around.
Yeah. That's a nice one to start with, I'd say.
Yeah, it's great.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, everybody's very, very happy about your playing
That's great.
and amazed. That's fantastic.
Maybe we should do a couple of more tunes. Another great tune that I like. It's a common tune. It's a hornpipe, but it doesn't actually incorporate any tongue switching, and it can be played on a regular Richter tuned harmonica, and it's a hornpipe called "The Rights of Man."
Oh yeah. I mean, I that was one thing I checked out too through the Bren Power book,
Oh yeah, cool.
but I played it way slower.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I like to play a little bit faster, of course. But I mean, Irish music definitely doesn't have to be fast. It can be played at a nice slow pace, and of course, still be very very good.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about a good example. Should we take? I mean, it doesn't necessarily need to be fast, of course.
Yeah.
I kind of like that power, that like energy that comes with it when it's played fast. That being said, that you should never play faster than you're capable of doing.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's never good. But I kind of find that speeding things up a little bit gets that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I mean it's a bit of both, and there's a lot of different like styles of playing. If you take Brendan Power for instance, he's more into maybe a little bit of slower playing and using a lot of more like bendings and stuff like that. There's fiddle player in famous fiddle player in Irish music called Martin Hayes, who does the same thing, plays slower and using a lot of bending when he's playing. And partly Brandon has been on me a couple of times. Hey Joel, you need to use the capabilities of the harmonica, and you need to start to bend notes on it. But yeah, I mean, I've never really gotten like into it. I'm more like hardcore trad.
Oh yeah. Harmo Active is writing, when Joel starts playing these tunes, you feel like dancing or at least tapping your feet. So great.
Good stuff. Thank you.
That's so important. I mean, the swing feel and yeah, just in the rhythm you have in your body, especially for Irish music. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. And I think I think Big Walter Horton said it sometime that if it doesn't have that swing, it don't mean a thing.
It's
And I
still
mean,
true.
yeah, I mean it is. And there's a lot of tunes. I mean, if you play them just upside down like the sheet music is written, things like there's not much fun in it. You need to get that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, it's also a lot of listening. Like,
Yeah, and that's the thing.
doesn't matter which type of music. I think like listening is as much as important as practicing. So
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say, but yeah, at least 50% or maybe even more. And I've been very lucky with that part, because I think that if you grow up with something and you hear it all the time when growing up, it will always be there in the back of your head. Like for me, for instance, who grew up in the cold, dark north of Sweden, but luckily I had a father who was very interested in different types of folk music, including Irish music. So I've been hearing a lot of Irish music since I was a kid. And the good thing there as well was that he had all these like hardcore, pure traditional Irish music albums.
yeah,
So it's great, and I suppose that's part of it. And during when I'm working and stuff, Irish music being played.
I feel like Tina. She just wrote, "I could listen all night." I
That's
mean,
great.
thank you so much for your private concert, for your concert on this channel.
Anytime.
That was fantastic. I mean, I'm really left speechless and more curious about the harmonica than ever. I hope everyone out there too.
That's how it should be.
So, yeah, anyone out there, you can check out Joel's work in the description box below. There's the link to your website, to your YouTube, Instagram, whatever. You can find it there.
I suppose I'm quite hard to miss.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm on most platforms.
So, yeah. And how about the CD? What's the best place to get the Irish
CD,
Harmonica CD?
Yeah, go to the jaharmonicas.com, and if you go to the web shop there, then you can either buy it as a physical CD or you can buy it as a download MP3 format.
Okay. Fantastic. So, yeah, what can I say next up for the Hohner Live? Let me check my calendar.
Oh,
Our next guest is Tim Gonzalez on April 22nd. So that's when we'll be back on the Hohner channel here for another Hohner Live. But another interesting thing that's coming up, also linked in the description box below, is another Twitch harmonica challenge together with Howard Levy. It's gonna be a Phrygian blues challenge. Pretty dark. And
I won't attend that one.
oh, unfortunately, I'm excited still. Howard will record a little backing track for that, a 24-bar blues, and I will definitely upload an announcement video with all the instructions on how to participate this week. It will go down on April 25th at 6 p.m. Central European Summer Time. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Practice your Phrygian scale. Play your C harmonica in the key of E. So yeah, that's what's coming up. Thank you so much, Joel. It was a huge joy. Yeah.
To be able to be a part of this. And yeah, I must just say that you're doing a tremendous work, and you're doing a really, really good work for the harmonica community, which is definitely something that the harmonica community needs in these times.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah. Thank you everyone out there for tuning in. Thank you for your questions. That's fantastic. I think we never had that many questions. Thank you, Joel, for answering all of them.
Well, of course. And if there were some questions that you didn't get answered, or if you have any further questions, please send me a message on Facebook, Instagram, email, whatever you feel like.
That's awesome. I would take that opportunity. So thank you so much, everyone. I hope you out there have a nice day or a nice evening wherever you are. Thank you for tuning in. Hope to see you soon. Thank you, Joel. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.